Have you ever opened the fridge, stared inside, and completely forgotten what you were looking for? Or walked into a room and had no clue why you went there in the first place? If you've had those moments, where your memory seems to vanish just when you need it most, you are definitely not alone. These little lapses can feel frustrating, even scary, especially after 70. But here's the truth. Your brain isn't giving up on you. In fact, it's still ready to grow, adapt, and surprise you if you give it the right kind of attention. You see, just like our muscles need movement to stay strong, our minds need a little challenge to stay sharp. But the good news is, that doesn't mean you need to memorize long lists or learn calculus. There are simple brain exercises, easy, enjoyable things you can do right at home that can actually delay memory loss and boost your mental clarity every single day. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. We'll go over 7 powerful exercises that are fun, low stress, and totally doable, even if you're just waking up, sipping your morning coffee, or winding down at night. These aren't gimmicks or trends. They're backed by what we know about how the brain works and how it continues to grow, even in our later years. Let's start with something wonderfully simple but surprisingly powerful: changing your routine. Yes, I know. Many of us love our routines. The same morning walk, the same favorite chair, the same way we fold the towels. Routines are comforting, but from your brain's point of view, too much routine can mean not enough challenge. And without challenge, the brain starts to coast. It starts to get, well, lazy. So one easy way to stimulate your brain is to switch things up just a little. Try brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Sit at a different spot at the dining table. Take a new route when you go for a walk, even if it's just around the block in reverse. These tiny changes force your brain to pay attention in new ways. They activate parts of your mind that usually just go on autopilot. And when you do that regularly, you help keep those neural connections strong and alive. One gentleman I know, he's 74 and sharp as ever, told me that every Thursday morning, he deliberately makes his breakfast in reverse order. He pours the tea first instead of last, opens the blinds before he turns on the radio. It may sound silly, but he says it makes him feel more alert. Like I'm waking up my brain from the inside out, he told me. And honestly, he's onto something. Next, let's talk about something that might make you smile, and that's music. Not just listening to it, although that's great too, but actually learning a song, even a few lines, and singing or humming it back from memory. Music lights up so many parts of the brain at once, especially the ones linked to memory, emotion, and language. And when you engage with music actively, you're giving your brain a serious workout. It doesn't matter if you have a good voice or not. What matters is the effort, trying to recall lyrics, follow rhythms, or sing along with a melody. One woman I know in her 80s keeps a notebook of songs she remembers from when she was a teenager. Every morning while the kettle boils, she sings one from memory. And if she forgets a line, she smiles, looks it up, and adds a note. That 5-minute ritual is like her brain's daily multivitamin. And the joy on her face when she nails the whole song, that's something no pill can give. Now, if singing isn't your thing, how about storytelling? Not reading someone else's story, telling your own, even if no one's listening. Just speaking out loud in your own words. Try telling the story of how you met your partner, or the first job you ever had, or that family vacation where everything went wrong, but somehow it became one of your favorite memories. When you tell a story, your brain retrieves names, places, smells, sounds, emotions, timelines, all the little pieces of a memory. And it strings them together in real time. That's powerful mental exercise. And the best part? The more you do it, the more detail you start to remember. And if you tell the story to someone else, a friend, a grandchild, even your pet, it becomes a moment of connection too. I met a man once, Ron, I think his name was, who would record himself once a week telling stories from his childhood. He said he was building an audio time capsule, not just for his family, but for himself. And what he found was that the more he told, the more he remembered. It was like shaking the dust off old memories and letting them shine again. There's something truly beautiful about that. Not only are you sharpening your brain, but you're honoring your own life. Your story, your experience, that matters. So we've touched on changing your routine, engaging with music, and sharing stories. These may sound simple, but they're deeply effective. And you don't need a special app or a worksheet. Just your time, your attention, and your willingness to try something different. You've made it this far in life. Through ups and downs, joy and loss, change and challenge. Your brain has come with you every step of the way. It's more resilient than you think. And the fact that you're here, watching this, tells me something important. You still care. You still want to learn. You still want to grow. And that's something to be proud of. Now let's keep this momentum going. You've already started waking your brain up with small changes, music, and storytelling. But there's another kind of mental workout that many people overlook, and it's one you can do without ever leaving your kitchen or even changing your clothes. I'm talking about something called visualization. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds. Visualization simply means using your imagination to picture things clearly in your mind. It's like daydreaming with a purpose. For example, before you head out to the store, close your eyes for a moment and picture the layout of the store. Try to walk through it in your mind. Where are the fruits and vegetables? What aisle has the cereal? What item are you getting first? You're not just rehearsing your shopping. You're strengthening your memory, your focus, and even your spatial awareness. And you can do this with almost anything. Let's say you're going to visit a friend. Try visualizing the way to their house, each turn, each landmark, before you even grab your keys. Or think about the layout of your living room and mentally walk through it, recalling where everything is. These little exercises force your brain to actively recall and organize information. And the more clearly you visualize something, the more you sharpen those pathways in your brain. A woman I once spoke with, Marcia, she was 79, told me she did this every morning while drinking her tea. She would close her eyes and try to visualize the entire layout of her childhood home, where the kitchen was, the feel of the rug, the smell of her mother's cooking. And sometimes, she'd go all the way back to picturing what was in each drawer. She said not only did it make her feel calm and connected to her past, it helped her feel mentally tuned in for the rest of the day. Visualization also supports creativity, and creativity is deeply protective for the brain, which leads us right into our next brain exercise. And this one might be the most fun yet. It's simply learning something new. Now, before you say, "I'm too old to learn something new," let me stop you right there. You're not. In fact, research has shown that older adults who take on new skills, things they've never done before, actually build new neural connections. And not only does that help preserve memory, it can even improve it. The key here is to challenge your brain just enough, not to frustrate you, but to engage you. Think of it like lifting a small weight. It's not overwhelming, but it gives your muscles something to work with. Your brain's the same way. When you try something unfamiliar, it has to stretch and adapt. And that process is like a brain tune-up. So what does this look like in real life? Maybe it's learning to use a new app on your phone. Maybe it's trying your hand at sketching or picking up a beginner's language course online. You don't have to become fluent or perfect. You just have to try. The point is to get your brain out of its comfort zone for a few minutes a day. I remember meeting a retired mechanic named Victor. He spent his entire life fixing engines, but after he turned 72, he decided to learn how to bake. At first, he said it was just for fun, but after a few weeks of memorizing recipes, experimenting with new ingredients, and converting measurements in his head, he started noticing how much sharper he felt. "I'm not just baking cookies," he said with a grin. "I'm rewiring my brain." That's exactly the spirit that makes these exercises so effective. You're not just passing the time, you're actively investing in your brain health. And the beauty of it is, every new thing you try, no matter how small, adds another layer to your cognitive strength. It's like a savings account for your mind. Another exercise that pairs beautifully with learning something new is called pattern recognition. That may sound technical, but you do it all the time without realizing it. Ever do a puzzle? Solve a riddle? Play a matching game on your tablet? Or try to figure out who a voice on the radio belongs to? That's pattern recognition. Your brain's ability to pick up on details, compare similarities, and make decisions based on what it notices. And the older we get, the more important this skill becomes, because it's tied directly to reasoning, decision-making, and memory recall. So how can you practice it at home? Well, try playing simple logic games. Sudoku, matching games, crosswords, even card games like solitaire or rummy can work wonders. You're not just entertaining yourself. You're keeping your mind sharp and active. One woman I met at a local senior center, her name was Eileen, told me she plays a little game with herself every morning. She looks at the weather forecast, then tries to mentally match it to past days that felt the same. "If it's 72 and cloudy," she says, "I'll try to remember what I wore the last time we had weather like that. And then I go from there. What did I do that day? Who did I talk to?" She's turned weather watching into a daily memory exercise. And I have to say, it's brilliant. Because when you create fun little challenges like that, things that use memory, logic, emotion, and even curiosity, you give your brain a reason to stay fully engaged. And when the brain stays engaged, it stays resilient. That's the magic of these exercises. You don't need a lab, a tutor, or a textbook. Just a few moments, a little intention, and the belief that your brain still has incredible things to offer. Because it does. And as we move forward, remember, these exercises aren't chores, they're gifts. Every time you sit down to learn, every time you hum a tune from memory, every time you try something unfamiliar, you're saying something important. My mind matters, my future matters. I still have growing to do. And that is a powerful message, not just to your brain, but to your heart. Now that your brain has been stirred by new routines, imagination, music, and a few friendly challenges, there's one more area that often gets overlooked, but it might just be one of the most powerful of all. It's something that doesn't require any tools, no puzzles, and no screen time. Just a bit of awareness and presence. I'm talking about mindfulness. You might have heard that word floating around before, and maybe it sounded a little too trendy or vague. But at its core, mindfulness is simply about being fully present in the moment. It means tuning in to what you're doing, what you're feeling, and what's happening around you, without rushing ahead or getting lost in thoughts about the past. And the reason this matters for your brain is simple. When you're present, your brain isn't just coasting on autopilot. It's engaged, it's noticing, it's active. And over time, that kind of mental presence keeps your thinking sharper and your memory stronger. One way to bring mindfulness into your daily routine is by slowing down something you already do, like washing the dishes, folding laundry, or making tea. Instead of thinking about the next thing on your list, just focus on this thing. Feel the warm water. Notice the sound of the spoon clinking the cup. Take a breath and feel your feet on the floor. It might seem small, but it's incredibly grounding. And more importantly, it teaches your brain to pay attention again. I once met a retired librarian named Denise who had developed her own version of a mindful moment. Every morning, she'd walk out into her backyard barefoot, stand on the grass, and just breathe for 2 minutes. No phone, no noise, no multitasking, just breathing and listening. And she told me, "It's the only time my mind isn't jumping around. I feel awake and calm all at once." That calm alertness, that's the brain state we want to keep practicing. It's not about perfection. You don't have to sit cross-legged on a cushion or chant mantras. Just give yourself permission to slow down and be right where you are. Your brain doesn't need stimulation every second. Sometimes it just needs your attention. And speaking of attention, let's not forget the role that gratitude plays in brain health. Yes, gratitude. You might be wondering how writing down something you're thankful for helps your memory. But here's what the science tells us. Practicing gratitude actually rewires the brain to focus more on the positive and less on fear or stress. And when your brain isn't cluttered with anxiety or distraction, it can focus more clearly on the things that matter, like remembering where you put your glasses. One simple gratitude exercise you can do every morning is this. Name 3 things you're thankful for, out loud or in a notebook. They don't have to be big. I'm thankful for the sun on my face. I'm thankful for my neighbor's dog barking. It means he's okay. I'm thankful I remembered to water my plants. Doing this each morning sets the tone for the day, and over time, it trains your brain to focus on what's working rather than what's missing. That shift alone can boost not just memory, but also resilience, mood, and even sleep. A gentleman named Charles told me once that he writes his gratitudes on sticky notes and puts them on his refrigerator. Not for anyone else to see, but for him. He said it reminds him that each day still has value no matter how his body feels. And his mind? He says it feels sharper because it's less weighed down. I believe him. Now, we've talked about all sorts of brain exercises you can do at home, but I want to gently add this last piece, something that can lift your brain and your entire spirit in ways you might not expect. Laughter. That's right. Good, old-fashioned laughter. The kind that crinkles your eyes and makes your shoulders relax. It's not just good for the heart. It's incredibly good for the brain. When you laugh, you release chemicals that reduce stress, improve mood, and increase mental flexibility. You also light up areas of the brain linked to memory and attention. So go ahead. Watch that silly video. Call that friend who always makes you chuckle. Reread that favorite comic strip. Let yourself laugh. Not only does it feel good in the moment, it's like a brain reset. It clears out the mental cobwebs and helps you feel more alive, more alert, more yourself. One woman, Grace, 81, told me she keeps a list on her fridge titled, "Things That Make Me Laugh." She adds to it whenever something catches her funny bone, whether it's a memory, a joke, or a moment she saw in the grocery store. She reads it when she feels low, and she says it keeps her connected to joy. And I think that's something we all need, especially now. Because here's the truth. Staying mentally sharp isn't about fighting aging. It's about embracing it with curiosity, care, and compassion. Your brain doesn't need to be pushed or punished. It just needs to be engaged. And every single one of these exercises we've talked about, whether it's singing a song, learning a new skill, practicing gratitude, or sharing a laugh, gives your brain what it craves: attention, challenge, and love. You don't need to do them all at once. You don't even need to do them every day. But every time you do, you're telling yourself, I matter. My mind matters, and I still have a lot of life to enjoy. And that's the kind of belief that truly keeps the mind young. If you've made it this far with me, I want to say something important. You're doing something wonderful for yourself. Just by being here, just by listening, you've already taken the first step in protecting your most powerful asset, your mind. And that says so much about you. It says that you still care deeply about your own well-being. It says that you believe there's more life to live, more laughter to share, more stories to tell. And you're absolutely right. You don't have to climb a mountain to keep your brain strong. You don't need expensive tools or complex training. What you need, and what you've already shown, is willingness. Willingness to show up, to try, to grow. Let's take a moment to reflect on everything you've just added to your mental wellness toolbox. You've learned that switching up your routine, even something as simple as changing your route or brushing with the opposite hand, can nudge your brain awake. You've seen how music, storytelling, and visualization aren't just fun. They're fuel for memory and mental agility. You now know that trying new things, playing with patterns, and embracing little challenges all keep your brain on its toes. And you've seen how powerful it can be to simply slow down, be mindful, and notice the good in your day. Even if it's just a hot cup of tea or the way the light hits your kitchen table. These aren't just tips. They're invitations to live more fully, with more awareness and joy. And that's the beautiful part. This journey toward a sharper, stronger mind is also a journey back to yourself. So what comes next? Well, the truth is, it doesn't matter where you begin. What matters is that you do begin. Maybe tomorrow morning, you sing a song out loud while making breakfast. Maybe you call a friend and tell them a funny story from years ago. Maybe you start a little gratitude journal, even if all you write is, I'm thankful for waking up today. That's more than enough. You're not aiming for perfection. You're simply building habits that remind your brain it's still needed, still useful, still alive with purpose. And as you begin to do these things, whether it's one habit or all 7, you might start to notice small but meaningful changes. You remember names a little faster. You feel more focused in conversation. You feel a little brighter when you wake up. Or maybe, most importantly, you feel more present, more in tune with the moment you're living. It's amazing how much better life feels when our minds are engaged. Everything becomes richer. Conversations, memories, even quiet moments. The fog starts to lift. The color returns. And you start to feel more like you again. Now, maybe you're sitting there thinking, well, I wish I had done all this earlier. And if that thought's creeping in, I want to pause right here and say this clearly. It's not too late. Not by a long shot. Your brain doesn't keep score by age. It responds to what you do today. And the good news? It's never been more ready. I've met people in their 80s and even 90s who have sharper memories than folks half their age. Not because they were born lucky, but because they kept going. They kept using their minds like the beautiful, adaptable tools they are. And so can you. It's not about chasing youth. It's about celebrating your wisdom and giving it the attention it deserves. You've collected so much knowledge, so many stories, so much love across the years. Let your brain carry that forward with strength. If anything I've shared today has resonated with you, if a little light bulb went off, or if you thought to yourself, I can do that, then I want to invite you to take that feeling and act on it. Just one small thing, today or tomorrow. That's how real change begins. Not with giant leaps, but with quiet, steady steps. And while you're on this journey, you don't have to do it alone. I'd love for you to share what helps you stay sharp. Is there something you already do that keeps your mind active? Maybe you read a chapter each morning, or play word games on your tablet, or do crossword puzzles with your spouse. Whatever it is, your story matters. And I can promise you, someone else out there needs to hear it. So please go ahead and leave a comment below. You don't need to write a novel. Just a few words can make someone else feel seen, inspired, or encouraged. That's the beauty of community. We lift each other up, even with the smallest things. And if you found this video helpful or comforting, I'd be so grateful if you'd give it a thumbs up. It truly helps others find this kind of content, especially those who might be searching for hope, support, or just a friendly voice. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell so you never miss a video. This channel is here for you, to walk with you, to cheer you on, and to remind you, no matter your age, you are not done growing. Let me leave you with this. Your brain is a living, breathing miracle. It has carried you through decades of life, love, laughter, loss, and learning. It's still learning. It still wants to be used, to be challenged, to be appreciated. You are not powerless. You are not fading. You are blooming in a new season of life. And you have everything you need right now to keep your mind as vibrant and alive as your heart. Here's to waking up with curiosity, to trying new things, to remembering the names, the faces, the joy, to staying sharp not because we have to, but because we deserve to. Thank you for spending this time with me. You are wise, you are worthy, and you are not alone. Take care of that beautiful mind of yours, and I'll see you in the next video.